Hello, we are going to take a look at Marshal Blueberry, The Lost Dutchman's Mine by Jean-Michel Charlier and drawn by Jean Giraud, aka Moebius. This is the epic publication from the 70s. We are going to look through the whole book, each page. I don't know if we're going to get too in-depth. I would love to get in-depth with every page, but I know there just wouldn't be enough time. It's, what do you call this? Get some dates. 1969, 1970 for these two stories, the Dutchman's Mine, and there's another one, the Ghost with the Golden Bullet, I think, which is the second story. And then there's a very early Moebius comic in here from 1958, one of his earliest stories, with him leaving school in 1956. We can get into that once we get there. Take a look at this, my God. Notice how many panels there are per page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, pretty standard. But then when you get to here, 1, 2, 3, 6, 8, 11. 11 panels on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 panels. Not your typical 9 panel grid. Which is a good example to show you how to recompose a 9 panel grid. How to recompose 9 panels onto a page. How do you an example of how to implement an 11 panel on a page. The coloring I enjoy very much. It's very nice. God, I could just keep staring. You know, you gotta keep moving. We just gotta keep moving. Oh, look at this. Open panel. Yet the word balloons on top still obey the panel. The red and oranges here, capturing a poignant moment, all culminating to a close-up, a gold nugget. You gotta eat that nugget. In fairly dark colors. But enough bright colors to still help define the characters. Dark colors. Look at that purple is very dark. I have not read this yet. Look at all these word balloons, though. Good example of working with a script that has a lot of dialogue. Moebius being cognizant of that, to now know where to put the characters and give enough space for these word balloons. Check out that first panel on the left page, four word balloons with a, what is that, a narration box. Characters all lined up on the bottom with enough headspace to have the word balloons reside in. Still, again, 4 characters on the bottom, still talking more than 4 characters. We got several characters here. But still with that information of the background, of the setting, of the scene, giving us the reader exposition. And yet still, with all these characters and the background, still enough space for 4 individuals to speak. This one has a bunch of dialogue. Look at this. 3 fairly, these 2 are a lot of dialogue. Again, kind of almost replicating the same structure. Characters on the bottom to give space for the word balloons, and still enough space to give an exposition. The background here is filled in with smoke, and even in between the smoke we see semblance of a room. Last panel on the bottom right, we get a silhouette, or close to it. The silhouette being balanced with the solid lettering of the sound effects, with the bright gunshot. Open panel. Love an open panel. When to even use an open panel for moments like this. Panels like this, even still residing in a multi-panel page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, all buttered up next to each other, no gutters. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh. We have a friend of the show, Raymar Brunson, creator of Ghostman. He's mentioned that he's noticed that a lot of European comics have multiple panels per page. And this is another example. This book is another example of that. A lot of browns. This is a good example too. As much dialogue as there is, Moebius makes sense with who's speaking and even how to compose this panel. The character is in the background. We have a foreground character in shadow, close up. They only have a little bit of dialogue, so we only need this much space for the word balloon. Since this character is in the background or is set far into the distance, there's more space up top to include the word balloon. And then imagining the camera tilting up, or going to the next shot where the camera is tilted up in almost the same distance. Character resides on the left. All the dialogue, even the dialogue from the previous character, has enough space to sit on the right. Let's go a little bit quicker because I will comment on every page if we don't keep going. Previously on the videos, I would just do a flip through of the whole book, but the more I've done it and the more videos I watch on comics, it says it all there. The The metrics don't lie. People, when you talk in the video, it gets more views. Controversy creates conversation. That's a quote by Tim Heidecker. A lot of browns, oranges, and reds used in this story, reflective of the Western theme. Although we still get blue skies and dark, what is that? Dark blue, almost a gray. Very convincing. These almost look like photographs because of the use of the color. Also, the drawings too, they look like your standard lens, camera lens. But the colors really bring out the setting. Natural colors, but it's still exciting drawings. Oh, look at this flat. Look at these flats. Oish. Love a flat. This dark sequence right here. Look at that. Heavy shadows. Love a heavy shadow. Great use of silhouette. Very natural, but so effective. Silhouette, and then in the background, it's all lit. So there's all the detail in the background. The blue popping up right next to pink peach. Playing off of complementary colors. Again, look at this. This first panel reaching across to the third panel. Seeing this is letting you know that you can utilize it. Now, you got to keep it in your memory bank and try to figure out when you're drawing comics, or even if you are writing your own stories as well, when do you get to utilize something like this? It's a widescreen, vertical, or a horizontal panel on top of a squat horizontal, and then an almost square panel that gets cropped out from the top panel. All standard. The gutters are vertical and horizontal until you get to here. You cut the diagonal because there's an action scene happening. Look at that shot. These good, really good shots. Wide. See the characters in the back. With the characters in the foreground, there's a chase happening. Close up. Action shot. Look at that composition. Bam, bam, bam. All these diagonal lines creating that movement, creating action, dynamism. This is another creating somewhat of a dynamic scene, yet this character's on the ground. Two panels to illustrate consequence, cause, reaction. Oh, look at that. Look at the end of this scene. You get a pseudo silhouette a shadowed character with some bits of light. This is 1970s Moebius. It's not quite the heavy metal hurlant Moebius. It's not quite Arzak yet. It's a different style than Arzak. Arzak seems more open. This style is more filled with lines where they need to be. But still, again, scenes like this, that's the Moebius that everybody knows. Desert scenes, open scenes. He's already doing stuff like this. That also shows up in Arzak and books of that time. And even still, let me go back just one. Even with the lettering, still enough space to do giant font, giant lettering, colored lettering to emphasize the tone of the dialogue, screaming, again, screaming. But also offer moments when guns are being shot, no dialogue, focusing on action, cause, effect. This is a very Marvel looking panel, doesn't that look like it? With the 3 colors, all primary, easy to read. Oh, those thick lines. Oh, dear Lord, those thick lines. Then we come to the end. Start off with the next story. The Ghost with the Golden Bullets. There it is. Look at that shot. 2 panels. 2 bits of dialogue. Of script. Great establishing shot. Again, diagonal lines creating action, movement. We now know characters facing forward, they are indeed going that way. But look how he pulls it back. Here, now the characters are moving right to left. Maybe doing the left to right movement from then going to right to left kind of insinuates that these characters are moving all around, that they're not just taking a short stroll somewhere. They're zigzagging around the world that they're in. But even still, this pathway, these walls, not only do they open up, they also lead into, for the viewer, eyes to follow, to go where? The next page. And so shall we. Look at that. Taking a sip of the water. Sploosh. What the fuck? Hey, look out! All those rocks are falling. Again, notice the size of the panels and how many panels. Let's stick to the right hand page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 panels. First 3 are small. Got a horizontal here. Next 3 are more vertical. And then the last 2, or this last one, or this one here, second to last, is again horizontal. And then square. Oh, look at these colors. Orange and pink. Orange and pink for the rocks. This moment right here has a dark background, but there's little openings of red, and then red repeats here for the foreground, and the characters are on top of that rock, and then again gets repeated here, at least the warm colors from orange to pink to purple. Close up to a far away shot, zoom out, close up to big characters to small characters, creating that movement. Your camera's almost seems like it's panning. Action fairly close up. That's not close up, but showing a lot of action. Two full bodies, other characters in the background, making a moment here with that red, that flat red, slightly slight gradient on that red. More shadows. Shadow what? Shadow to highlight the mesa, and then also to help frame out the group of characters on the bottom. Also notice too here, it's probably happened on previous pages, but check that out. A panel, two panels, broken up in a stepped way. Why do this? We have the back here, we have the characters here. There's two characters here talking. That's all we get to see. There's space for dialogue. While this section, they're like Tetris pieces, huh? In this section, character here, word balloon, for them to talk. Then the character here more in the foreground with space to their left for them to talk, even with a narration box in between dialogue. And also with the dialogue, with the word balloons, it's easy to, we are guided, the reader is guided to the order of dialogue. Read this, here, here, here. And then this panel, because it's reflective of the shadow here, it's like the scene's fading to black. Let's keep going. Some purples and browns, orange brown. It's also just noticed, like every page, you probably already noticed this too, every page consists of its own color palette to a degree. This one's a little bit pink. This one is going orange, peach, pink, with some hints of purple. This has some purple there too. But now white happening. nighttime, a lot more black. It's still enough drawing to render horses and the characters. Characters close to the light get more light, obviously. Characters farther away get less light. They're more shadowed. How do you create something like this? You study all that, those lines. Where is he doing the contours? Where is he including the shadows? Good use again of shadow. Shadow up top on that plane, but the planes that are closer and that are angled to reflect the light, pick up that light. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Was that true? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 panels. 12 panels, even, but they're all different sizes, so there's so much variety. It feels like this type of storytelling too. It's almost like character says something, does the thing. Character says something, something happens. But then action here, dialogue. It's like almost every action gets its own panel. Which then almost like every moment of dialogue, every little scene gets its own panel. I mean, that's so obvious, but every moment of action getting its own panel. This gets a little abstract, although I think these two are separate panels. This mountain reaching up to the first panel, though. But the two panels touching, though, huh? Again, color palette change. Now we're at the greens and blues. With the other secondary color, purple, and a bit of yellow, orange. Going the cool way. Previous color palette bleeding into the next color palette. Still keeping some of the purples from before, but introducing more orange, yellow orange from the previous page. While the sound effects get the more saturated orange. Again, now a lot more yelling. A lot more yelling, which means a lot more space for the dialogue. You still get a close-up, but the dialogue still takes up half of this panel, while you can still achieve a close-up. These two panels, no word balloons. He's yelling. He's within a space. This character is within a space that I think is not allowing for a proper word balloon to be included here. So they'll just take the background and add the dialogue there. And feel free to pause these page turns to take it all in. If you can watch it on a big screen, you'll see the book bigger than it actually is. Look at that. Now we're When did this happen? Okay, so all these panels were, from the most part, I think, just square or angled, right angles. Now we're getting into curved edges and more curved edges. What does that denote? A flashback. Again. What does it do? Is it this? It's a little confusing. I think you'd have to read it. Look at that. Look at all that space in that word balloon. Although this might be due to translation, which I think it is. Look at that. From somewhat evening, night to day, bright, middle of the day. Again here, crowded scene, a table, bunch of people. They reside fairly throughout the whole page, and then on the sides of the panels where the dialogue was placed. No dialogue in the middle, so that none of this is lost. All of this is still exposed. Because if you did put these dialogues in the middle, it would break apart the image, and it would almost seem that you might create like multiple panels within a panel if you put the dialogue in the middle. Let's do a little quick test just to see, looking at the quality of line in these drawings or on this page. Real quick, we'll do it real quick. Let's see the first panel. Is there a difference? I think this character is this character. It looks slightly different, but you can still make out that it's that character. You can slightly see this is the characters maybe are more adjusted. And then here is the Moebius comic from 1958, one of his earliest comics. It says here, this is from Jean Giraud, Moebius. I left the Applied Art School in June '56. And he went to visit his mother, who was living in Mexico, and then he stayed there for 8 months. He later returned to France. The following year, he didn't go back to school, but he just became a full-time professional. He kept doing Western stories and illustrations for Coors Valiant, etc. And then it says, with writer Noel Carre, I did a 19-page story entitled A Giant with Hurons and King of the Buffalo, which was published in 1958. So 2 years after school, I guess he didn't even graduate. If he said he didn't go back to school, he just started doing professional work. And this is very early Moebius work. I think it's apparent. Still competent. But notice how Notice the anatomy. The anatomy is a little bit wonky. Which seems to show that while it is wonky, it is cartooning. Also notice the camera angles. You also notice the even size panels. It's not, let's just go to render. It's not like this. Skinny, square, or rectangle, skinny, tall, another tall, skinny, horizontal. They're all fairly square, but all evenly sized panels. Also notice the camera angles too. There's a small character against two bigger characters. Exposition shot, everything small. Do we have any close-ups? This is probably the closest close-up to it. Other things to note, I think, yeah. The ground is always level. On all of these shots, the ground is always level. It's like obviously the ground is level in these shots. And again, like the previous panel, or the previous page, there's a close-up that takes up half of the panel while the top half is the dialogue. Early instance. Interesting that this character isn't colored. Their skin isn't colored. Is that part of the story? No, because that character's that, because he's wearing red. This character's in light, but their skin color's there. Also, notice the colors too, very watercolor. It probably is watercolor. Ah, look at that. We are now getting some panel size changes. Just some panel size changes here, but these gutters, there's no step. This one, panel lowering here, and then it cuts to the horizontal from all the way from left to right. And again, cause and effect. Silhouette, look at that. Almost mirrored. Silhouette. Yet again, the closest zoom ins, the closest thing we're getting to close-ups, aside from that. Again, top panel being big, lowering itself down so that the horizontal starts on the next side, while the other two horizontal gutter spaces are from the left to the right. Character speaking a panel, a visual panel still with dialogue and a semblance of the environment in that panel. Another rounded edged panel, probably flashback. Here it is happening again. While again there's no real close-ups, we still get, he pulls the camera back enough that we get full body shots. And how are you supposed to do close-ups when you have dialogue if there's that much dialogue? With the multitude of characters here, it's getting closer to something like that. Something that he does later on, you know? Doesn't it look like such a thing? Very, so much colors picking apart everything of the character. I mean, the red door against the red building, the red wall when it's the same building. I find it's almost unnecessary, but it does help differentiate what's what. That's good. The green with the red. Character in green, and another it's like a 50s comic or early 60s type deal. We ended here. Silhouette, purple, blue. The character is another blue. Open panel, although with again the word balloons obeying the panel border. The walls, the shadow surrounding these two characters. Again, dialogue taking up half the space while the characters and the drawing takes up the bottom half. Open panel for the end scene. Momentous scene, the handshake. And that's it. Look at this, the back of the book. It's like a canvas. That was that. Marshal Blueberry, the lost Dutchman's mine, and the ghost with the golden bullets, and what's this one called? Buffalo King, King of the Buffalo. Wow, thank you all for watching. We'll catch you next time. We'll try to do more of these commentaries. Goodbye.